poor execution destroys more deals than bad market conditions ever will. It's just the reality. Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I am your host, Todd Dexheimer, and I am sitting at 99 Lofts. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you've probably seen a ton of posts about 99 Lofts. Yeah, this is a apartment building that we renovated over the last, now it's been about 10 months, but took us 9 months to do a full renovation on. So if you don't follow me on LinkedIn, check out my LinkedIn page, connect with me there. Follow me and you'll see a ton of pictures, videos, kind of just be able to follow along with the project and know what I'm talking about. But also going to be posting a YouTube video here shortly that walks through kind of some of the things that we did, and it shows you a little bit closer look. But I am sitting in our podcast studio. So we bought this building. I'll tell you a little bit of background about this, but we bought this building. It was 65% occupied. We bought it from a family. And so dad owned this building and he ended up passing away. Then it went to his wife, and his wife got dementia, from what I understand. And so then the kids took over. And so it's two daughters that were kind of running the show. They're living, one of them was living here, one of them was living at another property. And they unfortunately ran it into the ground. And so this is in like an awesome location. We got the Mississippi River directly in front of me, right at the back of the building. And so beautiful location, great submarket. This is in the Twin Cities. So really nice suburb here that we're in. We're in it's a suburb called Champlin in Minnesota. And it's just a great spot. And so we knew there was a lot of value here. This was basically a D class. I call it a D class building, C class. So it's just not great. Everything was super outdated, and it was just over 60% occupied. And ran into the ground. You walk in here, it's got every little last smell you've ever smelled in an apartment building. It's just gross, right? It's the carpet, and the hallways are green. It's like a nasty green carpet. The hallway walls are a gross brown. There's barely any lighting in the hallways. You got burnt out lights, and you just got just terrible lighting. So dark, dingy hallways, really smelly. The office is closed down. Nobody can get in there. We never were able to even look in the office because they wouldn't let us in there. So you call phone number and nobody answers. You drive up to the building. It's super outdated. Hasn't had a refresh maybe ever. It's got the old nasty mansard looking roofs. It just was a terrible property. Each unit, again, it hasn't been updated in decades. It's got a pool, but it's shut down because it's leaking tons of water every single day. And just got nothing to offer, right? And so we bought this building knowing that we were going to have to put a lot of work into it. And so we ended up putting, $4.1 million into its 99 units. So you're talking $41,000 a door on average. That's exterior and interior included. But what we wanted to do is really, really blow this thing out of the water. We wanted to do a really good job. We knew because of kind of our rental comps down the road, we knew the type of product we could deliver to the market and what the demand would be. And so we decided we're going to blow this thing out of the water. In the end, we've got a beautiful and amazing product. We're getting our year 3 pro forma rents on it. And I think we'll get maybe year 5, year 6 come this spring. So it's pretty well occupied already. And we just finished renovations December 31st. So I'm recording this right now. It's January 14th. So we finished renovations just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to walk through some of the things we did, but I'm going to talk about how we were able to be successful. And that's what I want you to take out of this is when we're looking at any renovation project, no matter how big or how small, how do you be successful doing it? Um, so actually I'm sitting, what I was telling you when I first started is I'm sitting in this room. This is a podcast studio. And just outside this door, it's a co-work space. So we've got 3 co-work stations, and so people can walk into this area and that they can use it to get out of their apartment and kind of be somewhere that's just not sitting at their on their bed or at their dining room table or anything like that. They can actually come in here, they can plug in, they got super fast internet, and they can enjoy just being out of the room. On the way here, one day we were actually going to make this a movie theater, but on the way here one day I heard that the number one amenity that most apartment buildings don't have that's super highly desirable is co-work space. And so I said, hey, that's what we're going to do. We're going to create this as a co-work space with a podcast studio so people can actually enjoy this space and utilize it. I wanted a space for everybody. So as I was thinking about the design of these apartment buildings, this apartment building, um, the main thing that we were focused on, Durst Capital was focused on, was trying to make this a place for everybody. Of course, luxury as well. So we wanted it to be high end, but we created a space. So this is a space that some people are like, wow, I need this space. This is great. I want to use it. So other people are like, co-work space. I'm never going to use this space. What a boring space. But some people love it. Right. And then we have a golf simulator. Oh, wow. Some people love that. Right. That's going to drive people in. Other people are like, I could care less. Right. Well, we've got kind of a lounge area, and in that lounge area, well, that the golf simulator's in that lounge area, but then you've also got a huge, big screen TV, so that's kind of your movie theater type area. You got the popcorn machine, you got the foosball table, and the bubble hockey, and the shuffleboard, right? So it's got cool, fun kind of bar type games in there. You've got a bar with a kitchen, meeting area, so it's a great place for people to use. Then right next door, there was a big maintenance room. And we turned that maintenance room into a massive fitness center. And again, come look at the pictures or go to the website, 99 Lofts. But we turned this into a massive fitness center. It's got a rock climbing wall. It's got all the weights you could have, the free weights, the machine weights. It's got the yoga area. It's got the ballerina bars. It's got the bike stations. Everything that you could ever want in a fitness center. It's got it. You don't need a gym membership if you're going to have that. We actually have people that come and do yoga and stuff for our with our residents. We turned the pool. We ripped that pool out. We turned that into a pickleball court and sport court. So you can play basketball, play pickleball. There's ping pong table there. And then we took one of the bathrooms, we turned that into a kind of a spa area. So you've got the sauna, you've got the red light therapy. Nobody has red light therapy. You've got and you've got a cold plunge tub. Who's got a cold plunge tub in an apartment building, right? And then we turned the other one into a dog wash station or pet wash station. So it's huge, beautiful pet wash station. It's not just like a little tiny room. It's got everything for anybody who wants it. There's also a little dog park out back. And then outside, we've got grilling stations. We've got the charcoal grill. We got the smoker. We got the pizza oven. We got everything. We got a fireplace. We got a beautiful patio. We've got cornhole and bocce ball. And then we got the river. And out at the river, big docking station, and hammocks and canoe rack and all kinds of stuff. So bike station in the garage, bike storage, all kinds of awesome stuff. So again, we wanted to blow it out, make it really good and awesome for everybody. All right. So let's talk about the success and how can you do this yourself, and the importance. And so first, I want to hit on the most important part of this whole aspect was the pre-planning. And so we spent a lot of time pre-planning. And I think almost everybody spends too little time on the pre-planning. Could we have even spent more time on the pre-planning? I think so. I think we should have spent even more time on the pre-planning and really making sure everybody was on board. Would we have gotten it done faster? Probably not. Would we have understood our full budget and understood every little as detail better? Yeah, but I think we did a really, really good job with pre-planning. And so before we even closed, we had the vision. We knew what we were going to do with the apartment building. We knew we were going to rip the mansard roof off and make it a more modern look and add some height to the balconies and really kind of make that pop. So when you drive from the outside, it doesn't feel like a 1971 built building. It feels like a much more modern building. We knew we were going to do that. We knew we needed to enhance the entrance and really draw people in. We didn't have an exact plan on how that was going to look. So that would have been some pre-planning. We could have done more, but we knew we were going to spend some time and money on creating a grander entrance to it. So that was super important. We knew that we were going to do these amenities. We knew we were going to turn these units from just a terrible looking apartment unit and turn it into a beautiful apartment, granite countertops, brand new cabinets, a new flooring painting, all that kind of stuff. We knew we were going to do that and we pre-planned all that. So we had the vision. I think it's so important to have the vision, and it wasn't just my vision. It was my vision. It was my project manager's vision, who's done a lot of these types of deals before. It was the designer's vision, everybody's vision kind of together. We worked hard with contractors and trying to get our budget locked in early on prior to closing. We want to make sure we know exactly what we're going to spend. So that's super important. Meeting with subcontractors, designers, the city. We met with the city well before we purchased it to understand what they're looking for, to see if we can work with the city for some funds. We were trying to see if we could get some funds from the city. It ended up not working. We would have had to do affordable housing. It just wasn't the direction we wanted to go with the apartment building. But, just it also helps us understand, is the city on board with what we're doing, and how strict are they going to be? Where are they going to come to us and say, hey, you guys have to do this, and now that you remodeled so far, we're going to force you to do this? Because, by the way, that does happen quite a bit. Like they say, nope, you open this wall up, we're going to force you to now add fire extinguisher or fire suppression systems or something like that, right? So you got to make sure that you're in with the city, understand what they want, talk with the inspectors, talk with the contractors, the subcontractors that you're going to be using, talk with the designers. And again, it was super important. We hired the right project manager. Project manager had that experience in doing these types of projects, and so he could help with a lot of that stuff as well. So that was super important. I think this is the step that most people get wrong. If you get this step wrong, nothing else matters. That I'm going to say, you got it wrong, this step, you're going to have a project that's really going to be bumpy. So the next step is successful project management. And so if you're going to do project management yourself, very important that you know what you're doing. If you're going to hire a third party project manager, it's very important that you actually keep a close eye on that project manager to make sure they are executing properly, and to make sure you communicate well with that project manager on how to do this project and what you're looking for. Because I've got a vision in my head. I'm a person that likes to look at a building, and I feel like it can really find a lot of good in a building. And so if I've got a vision, I've got to be able to give that to my project manager. My project manager's got to be able to execute on it. So it's got to be extremely good communication between you and the people doing the work, the project management, the people that are on site, the contractors, right? You want to make sure that everybody's aligned. So project management is about relentless execution. And again, so making sure you have a great project manager that's going to build the schedule out. You've got a schedule, and it's got to be built out, and it's got to be spot on, right? And you have to make sure you have a project manager that can get all the subcontractors aligned. They're working together, they're not competing with each other. They're not, trying to fight around who gets in when. No, you control that, or the project manager controls that, to make sure that every subcontractor is aligned and they get in at the right time. making sure you have materials on site before you need them. The worst thing that you can do is have material delays. Subcontractor gets in, they start, let's call it working on the kitchen, and you don't have the fixtures for the kitchen, or they install the cabinets and now you got to wait 4 weeks for the countertops because you forgot to schedule those countertops to come in, or you got some sort of material delays. One of my worst projects that I did, I can blame it on COVID, and it's probably pretty accurate. But the thing that happened the worst is that we had all kinds of project delays, and so we were essentially done with units, but we're waiting for kitchen cabinets. We had to wait at one time, I think it was like 21, 22 weeks for an order of kitchen cabinets for, it was maybe like 15 units or so. And so that massively delayed everything. And we couldn't finish those for a long time. And everything gets thrown off if we have delays like that. Um, Look, having an actually excellent team from the top down is super important. So just making sure you have the right people. And I think it's really important too to have backup subcontractors. So you don't have just one, painter you're counting on. You have a painter that's going to paint, but if the painter can't keep up, the painter's maybe quality control isn't, good. You can go on to the next painter. You can hire the next painter, and you want to do that with every, contractor, subcontractor that you have. A couple delays can take and derail a 9-month project and an 18-month project. We renovated 99 units, all 99 units, all of the exterior. Like I said, $4.1 million project, $41,000 on average per door. We did that renovation in 9 months. And it was solely because of the things I'm talking about here. And the pre-planning was the most important. The next one is the project management. So the most important. We were planning on getting this project done in 18 months. And we started in March and had it completed by the end of the year. So we got it done in 9. Um, Obviously, the next one I'm going to talk about is really important, but this one is certainly secondary. It's super important. One of the things that I've learned is that it's always tough to hit the right budget. So budget is really important, but the budget has to be, you plan for reality and not for perfection. And so I think that's really important when you budget. You look at the vision that you have, you plan for reality. Um, because you know that things are going to go wrong. You know that the roof is going to spring a leak. You know that the plumbing is going to all of a sudden cause some issues. You know that the boiler is going to go. You know that whatever, a contractor is going to mess up and something's going to cost you more money. You know things are going to happen, right? So we budgeted for everything. We took our entire budget and we padded everything. We padded everything because we want room for error. So we took our budget and then we padded it. And then on top of that, we added another 20% contingency on top of it. So that's so important that you take and understand that you need to plan for the renovation. You need to get numbers from contractors. You need to pad their numbers, and then you need to add a large contingency on top of that. How much? It depends a little bit of the project. Look, if I'm going to do a small renovation, it's not going to be as much. But the bigger renovation I do, the more risk there is, the more padding I want. That's so important. I think a lot of people mess up on that. We had a big, huge budget, and we were trying to hit under our budget. We ended up hitting our budget because things go wrong, and that's just how it is. So if something comes up, I always, the worst part is if you don't budget properly, here's what happens. And this is actually onto my next point, but budget stress kills deals. And so when you have a budget and you are encroaching upon that budget and you're exceeding that budget, you're going to start to get really stressed out. You're going to start to try to figure out ways to cut down on things. And you're going to start cutting corners, and you're going to maybe skip renovating some units or not doing some of the amenities that you planned on, or whatever it might be. Or you have to hire a different contractor because the pricing is too much, or whatever it is. When you start hitting along that budget and you start breaking that budget, and you start causing that stress, you're going to have execution issues, and that slows the velocity down. So that's point number 4 is velocity is really where a lot of operators, a lot of sponsors, project managers, they choke out is on the velocity. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the 3 things I've already talked about: the planning, the project management, and which is the execution, and the budget, right? And so one of those or all 3 of them get thrown off. And then all of a sudden the velocity starts to slow. Really what you want in any project is you want to put the pedal down. You want to put the pedal down every single day, and you want to keep a really tight leash on that schedule. You will want to remove any obstacles really quickly, because poor execution destroys more deals than bad market conditions ever will. It's just the reality. Think about this. You're going to have, let's look at our 99 unit building. Okay, let's just say we took 18 months versus 9 months, which again, we scheduled for, but we ended up getting done faster, which is going to create a lot of extra cash flow. So what if this took 18 months to do? Well, there's several things that would happen if it took 18 months versus 9 months, especially if we didn't budget for it, right? And so the biggest thing is, when we get this done in 9 months, we are now 9 months ahead on our lease out. We changed our rents from the old rents to the new rents and got about a $450, I think it is, 500. It's about $500 pop on rents. So $500 pop on rents. Now, that's not a big deal for one unit, but when we multiply that by 99 units, right, and then we multiply that by 9 months, that ends up being a significant amount. And so, do the math, right? So you've got 99 units, and now it's simple math, right? Because obviously there's going to be some deliveries through there, but very simple math tells you that if we don't hit our numbers because of, we don't execute because we're slow on velocity, because maybe the budget got out of hand or whatever it might be, you're going to lose out on, well, it's what, roughly $50,000 a month. Okay, because we have 99 units, so call it 100. So roughly 50,000 a month times 9 months. So that's $450,000 that I lost out on in cash flow. And the other thing too is, if I decided to sell it or refinance it, the velocity hurts as well, because now today, look, I'm going to be able to sell it or refinance it 9 months earlier if I want to. Again, $450,000 in lost revenue. Probably not as much, quite frankly, because I'm going to lease some of it, but even so, $250,000 in lost revenue. So I can go over budget sometimes and still be better off than taking too much time, trying to save a couple bucks. So you always have to remember that. Look, what happens? I mean, so many scenarios. What happens if the market shifts? What happens if interest rates go up? What happens if, the right buyer was around? There's just so many things that can go wrong. It's better to be done with these projects right away. So those are the 4, in my opinion, big things. So I'll just Cover them one more time. So it's pre-planning. Spend a ton of time on pre-planning. Project management. Make sure you have the right team to be able to execute and execute relentlessly. Budget. Spend a lot of time pre-planning for the budget and working the budget and getting your quotes and making sure you budget, and then adding a ton of room for error. And then the last one is velocity. And that's where operators choke, is velocity. Get the deal done, put the pedal to the metal. If you have, the other things, the other three set up properly, I think velocity is going to end up happening. So, projects like this are fun. Like, this was a blast. I actually miss coming here and following, what's going on and making decisions. And so projects like this are a blast. I hope to buy one just like this soon. If you know somebody that's distressed and needs to sell their building, I would love to look at it if it's in a good location. But these are fun projects, but they don't come without risk. And you need to make sure you mitigate as much risk as possible. One of the other things I think to mitigate risk is beyond the execution that I've been talking about, is just how you finance it and how you think about the deal overall. Look, we financed this deal. We actually set aside 6 months of interest reserve. Sorry, 12 months of interest reserves. So we set aside an entire year of interest reserves because we knew we wouldn't be cash flow positive for the first 12 months. So we set that money aside. We actually, we put it with the bank in an escrow, and they just pull it every single month. And so that money is not ours, right? We can't go over budget and tap into that and then bleed ourselves. So that was super important. But then the right financing beyond that was really important. So we worked with a local banking partner that gave us fixed rate debt for 5 years on a 30-year AM. We've got 2 years of interest only payments. So we have a runway to be able to be positive in our cash flow. We're not forced with this, these floating rate loans, the bridge loans. I've done the bridge before. I've done the floating rate. They're terrible loans. I hate them. They put a lot of stress and pressure on you, where this was a loan that was just simple. It's low stress. It's a bank that is an easy relationship to work with. Our draws are quick. Everything worked well with the bank and will continue to work well with the bank. And then the equity that we brought in. Look, we raised capital for this deal. There's many ways you can do it, but we raised capital from our investor partners, and we set expectations for them up on this project and how it's going to work. Now, happily, we've far exceeded our vision for execution, but you want to make sure you're setting your investors up with the right expectations and setting a ton of money aside. So we had extra money for the renovations. We had the money, like I said, set aside for the interest payments. And we also had just money set aside for just a large reserve account. So we had lots of extra money set aside. What happens if we don't use all that money? Simple. It just goes back to the investors. No big deal. Once the project's done, once we're stabilized, once we feel good about everything, then if we don't need that money, we send it back and investors get it. It's not a distribution. It's just capital return. And it's great. Nothing changes with the deal other than the investors, we didn't need that money anymore, so they get it back. Meanwhile, the money sits in a bank account, earns some interest on it. Great. So no big deal. So it is a big deal when you run out of money and now you have to start figuring out how do you get more. So, all right. Hopefully this helped if you are looking at doing any kind of project, single family home, large apartment building, retail shopping center, whatever it might be. All the fundamentals are the same. And hopefully this helps you understand how do you execute properly on a large renovation project. That's it for today. You have a fantastic rest of the day. Make every day a Saturday. Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.